Again, thank you all so much for being here. As you all are very aware, the commitment to education in Palestinian communities is very deeply rooted, and it's something that Palestinian families really pride themselves on. Education is seen as a cornerstone of, dignity, opportunity, hope, and we see families prioritizing schooling, often making extraordinary sacrifices to keep their children learning, even under the most difficult conditions. Yesterday, we were heartbroken to learn of the tragic killing of our friend Oda, a Palestinian teacher in the West Bank, after he was shot by a settler. Oda was born and raised in El Khair in Masafer Yatta, and as a teacher and a writer, he was deeply committed to sharing the realities, the people, the dreams of Masafer Yatta. He taught English as a second language to children and teenagers for over 6 years, and he led numerous youth summer camps focused on creating safe and supportive environments for learning and growth. He was a tireless activist. He always advocated for his communities, and we hold him, his family, his students in our hearts, and we continue to do this work in his memory for him and for all the others. Today's webinar brings voices from the ground to share our team's efforts to ensure that Palestinian children continue their schooling, both in Gaza and in the West Bank. In Gaza, we've actually, since 2020, during COVID, we started an education program. And at the request of the parents, we continued doing an after-school program. In January of this year, Rebuilding Alliance purchased tents, desks, tables, and whiteboards to set up temporary classrooms at our shelter in Deir el-Balah and Mawasi Khan Yunis. And our amazing art teacher, Narmeen, led this effort. And in mid-February, she relocated to Rafah with the bulk of these supplies. And we were able to offer therapeutic social support through learning, holding art classes, storytelling, guided play. The pop-up school was also used as a meeting location for the community and for women's groups. Unfortunately, in March, when the ceasefire broke, everyone had to evacuate Rafah and many of the supplies were destroyed. But despite all of these difficulties, our team continues to hold some classes. Because of the heightened safety concerns, it isn't always safe to gather children, but Rebuilding Alliance remains, committed to reinstating our learning program because these programs and these spaces really do provide invaluable psychosocial support, even intense. So to speak more on this, we have two of our teachers who, despite everything, have continued to teach classes in Gaza. We have with us Maha Isa.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes. Wa alaikum assalam. Go ahead. Tell us more about, the programs that you're working on and the situation that you're
Before the
experiencing.
war or before the war or after or both?
Both.
Okay. I'm Maha Isa, 36 years old. I'm English language teacher working for Rebuilding Alliance since July 2019. I have been working in Women's Program Center in Rafah. On 7th of October 2023, the war started. I will talk about before the war and after the war. Before the war, we used to give the children lessons after school. We were supporting the formal education with our non-formal education. Me and Nermeen, Ruwaida, and Laida. Regarding me as English teacher, I used to give students the basics of English in an active education. Also, we had communication with the schools near us, especially the Norwa schools. to support each other to have good result with the student. And they were sending us the weakness of their student. And really, we had a great result with their high marks, alhamdulillah. Also, me and Ruwaida and Darmeen and Layla in summer holidays made a group to create some special projects with kids in science, English, and the touch of arts also. I can show you some images of these projects if you want to see it. Maybe Maria could share you these photos. After 7th of October, the whole schools were completely stopped. Also, we stopped. In the morning of that day, everything of our life is converted to just searching about food, about water, or evacuating from our homes to another period, another cities. Also, the people started to evacuate to schools also because of bombing and they're destroying homes. So school became as the homeland for homeless people. Not just like that. After some while, they are bombing schools also. 100% of our schools were completely destroyed. Cannot you imagine we have talking about nearly 2 years our children without any education? Yeah. Also on 28th of May 2024, we had been evacuated to Mawasi Khan Yunis from Rafah. I'm from Rafah. So I had been evacuated to Mawasi Khan Yunis and we started homeless journey with a lot of challenges and difficulties. It's very hard for us. Also, my tent, my family tent, were flooded, and we got really cold in December. Alhamdulillah, RA Rebuilding Alliance helping us with the tarps, warm clothes, and shoes, and heavy blankets. Thanks a million for them. Thanks for them. About education, in January 2025, we have established educational tents in Deir el-Balah and Mawasi Khan Yunis. Indeed of Mrs. Donna and Mr. Rafiq. Thanks for them. We prepared everything for starting education, another, and just starting for a period of time, for a while, not too long because of evacuating and also Ruwaida started education in Khan Yunis. Then she had been evacuated from Khan Yunis, Mawasi Khan Yunis, so we cannot continue. But Alhamdulillah, we had the aim of education and we want to continue, inshallah. We hope to have a ceasefire so that we can continue education and continue learning and rebuild ourselves again and given our kids even a small amount of learning of what they have lost. Just we hope that and pray for that. Thank you. You want to ask me any question? I can respond.
Thank you so much, Maha. We also have Ruwaida with us. Ruwaida, can you hear me? Ruwaida is another one of the teachers that is currently teaching classes in Gaza right now.
Hi, yes, so this is Ruwaida from Gaza. I'm a science teacher. So there's no words can describe the situation of education before the war and after the war. Okay, as me, I'm teacher with rebuilding analyze for 4 years or 5 years. Also, I'm a teacher in Rosary Sister School for also 5 years. So I know the situation in the schools with the children, with the students, their feelings before the war and after the war, because I teach before the war and during the war I teach in the tent. So it's so hard to say that. Our children, we want to say about the education for the students in Gaza or the children in Gaza. There's no fun places in Gaza Strip. So our children spend all their day in the schools. Okay, so they know just one place in their lives. Okay, for 9 months. Okay, this is the education month every year for them. They are in the school. Okay, they spend that in the school. They had routine with their friends in the schools, teacher teaching, learning in the schools, and back to their home to complete their classes, to follow their lessons, and they learn to their exams, and back to school like this. Okay, for the rebuilding alliance, when I worked before the war, we were following the lessons with the children with another style of education, okay, like active learning, fun actives with the children. That we broke the routine of the education in the schools with them, okay. They were very happy with us. We make two models of science informations, okay. So it was so happy for them, okay. So they have great routine before the war. When they had schools, they can go to their schools to can follow their lessons, and can be their mind and their thinking improve with the teaching. So we know this is the normal right for the children to follow their education year by year by year by year, okay. So now we want to talk about after the war. It's terrible situation our children live in without schools. As Mahat said, the schools are changed to displaced places for the people who lose their homes. Okay, so now when I teach the children and the tents, they told me that teacher, we want to say something. Before the war, we are children, okay? We were children. Our just responsibility learning our subjects, go to our schools, back to our homes, eat very well. But now we have another responsibilities, like fill the gallons of water, looking for water centers, looking for food, looking for wood to fire for their mothers to prepare any food for them to eat. Another thing they told me, I'm working, one of the children told me, I'm working in the tent like what you are working in your tent or in your home. He want to say, I have responsibility like you, our teacher, okay? Like follow their sisters and brother like this, okay. So they're thinking in another things, not education, okay. Also, when I back to teach them science, it was so hard for them, okay, because they stopped their education for 2 years. So it's too much to cut the children from their schools, okay? And when you back to the children to teach them, you will face many problems because you will prepare them to receive the information, okay? For me as a teacher, as a science teacher, I repeated the information many times in the 10th classes for my children to understand what I say, okay? So I'm with them. I know it's big problem for them. It's hard for them, okay, to say our children, their mind lose their education before. Also, there is bigger problem. We use in education system in Gaza Strip, our children start to reading Arabic, okay, in 6 years. When anyone they're all 6 years, like in a grade 1, okay, they can read Arabic. But now the children in 5th grade can't read Arabic. So it's so hard for us. There's like we are in dangerous level in education in Gaza. So we need to save them. Sometimes I'm helping around the children around me. Because I'm a teacher, I have responsibility. This is my letter, okay, to help the children to read, to learn, to complete their education. So it's hard for me to see anyone from the children, okay, can't read Arabic or can't understand the information in science, okay, because I know the following of years, and if he is in 5th grade, he must to take this information. In 6th grade, he must to take this information. Okay, so when he lose 2 years from his education career, it will be hard for him to complete his education. Okay, so they need us. There is very problem in Gaza. It's terrible with the education for our children. We need to save our children. Many times I feel very sad. I don't have energy to follow with a lot of children when they hear Ruwaida teach someone science. They're coming for me and please teach us. And so I'm trying to help them, but we need a lot of people to help them because our children deserve to back to their right places, okay? Schools, education, follow their classes. Also, I want to say something because Maha Amer, it's not with us. She's our new teacher in RA, okay? She teach 12th grade. Maybe توجيهي, we know that in Gaza Strip توجيهي, or 12th grade this year. It's like very important for any student because he will like go to universities. But our students in Gaza Strip missed their exams for this important year for 2 years. Okay, so the students in East Bank passed their exams, okay, but our students in Gaza Strip can't pass their exams because we are under the war, okay? So our students, our children need our help, okay, to stand with them, to save them from this dangerous situation in our education. So thank you for building an alliance with their money. It tries to help the children and money ideas to help them, support them. So I want to say more and more and more. Our children, they are our future. So we need to save them and support them. Thank you so much.
Thank you both so much, Ruwaida and Maha, for the work that you're doing, for the classes you're continuing to hold, for the support that you're providing these children, and for speaking with us today about these things. With all of your support, these are the programs that Rebuilding Alliance is dedicated to, maintaining. On the West Bank side of things, last month, the UN Education Cluster put out a report citing that 84 schools in the West Bank and East Jerusalem have full or partial demolition orders. Rebuilding Alliance's advocacy for schools can actually be traced to the start of our founding, when we built a kindergarten in El Aqaba that received demolition orders. Congressional phone calls to the State Department and the Israeli embassy is what ultimately kept that kindergarten standing. To speak more on our advocacy programs, we have Matthew, our Senior Advocacy Manager and Leadership Learning Missions Coordinator. Matthew, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Nasreen, and thanks to everyone for being here today. And just also want to say thank you to Maha and Roida and the other educators in Gaza doing such incredible work right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about the West Bank and the situation with schools facing demolition there. I'm going to do kind of an overview, and then my colleague Fatma will talk a little bit more about specifics. But as Nasreen mentioned, 84 Palestinian schools in the West Bank and East Jerusalem have demolition orders. 74 of those are in Area C and 10 are in East Jerusalem. So Area C, just for context, is the 60% of the West Bank that's under full Israeli military control. These demolition orders will impact almost 12,900 students and well over 1,000 teachers. The particular at-risk schools are in the Masafer Yatta region, specifically firing zone 918, Sfai, Majaz, Jinba, Fahit, and Khalat Adabe. The Masafer Yatta area, I'm sure, it's been in the news a lot lately. Most people are familiar with it. There's about 2,500 residents there that have been really fighting to stay on their lands since the 1980s, when the Israeli military declared the area a firing zone. More recently, the area has been considered more high risk due to a June 17th military order that declared all structures in the firing zone an impediment to military training. The following day, the High Planning Council in the West Bank issued a directive to evaluate all building permits in light of the military needs. So that really places all of the structures in the firing zone at incredibly high risk. Rebuilding Alliance has been doing briefings with congressional offices to bring some of these issues forward. And in 2022, 2023, we also conducted over 100 briefings with congressional offices. And at that time, there were 58 schools in the West Bank and East Jerusalem with demolition orders. And we've seen that number grow to 84 in just a very short amount of time. So that's really a cause for concern. And one of the things that we're trying to highlight is this threat to education in the West Bank, particularly Area C and East Jerusalem. The school on the screen here is the Khalat Adabe school. This picture was actually taken just about 2 months ago when Rebuilding Alliance was in Masafer Yatta with our leadership learning mission, where we brought congressional staff to the region. The Khalat Adabe school, of course, has a demolition order. Just a couple of days before this visit, the majority of the structures in the village were demolished by the Israeli military. Thankfully, the school was not demolished. But shortly after those demolitions occurred, we saw Israeli settlers move into just if you're looking at the screen, to the right side of the screen, you can't see it, but downhill, they took over a couple of family caves. And from that area, they began launching attacks on the village. So the school actually had to shut down a couple of weeks before the school year ended because of the harassment that the children were facing from the Israeli settlers. So really an area that's a particular high risk and that's very concerning is that these schools are having to shut down because of harassment from settlers in the nearby areas. One of the things that we've also been involved in is advocacy for particular schools with demolition orders. This school on your screen that you see is the Sfai school in Masafer Yatta. The school was demolished in 2022. There's been 47 demolition incidents in the West Bank since 2010, targeting 30 different schools. So some schools have been targeted multiple times. Another area that Rebuilding Alliance was very involved in advocating for was the Jubal Dib school. This school was actually built on land that was donated by an American citizen who lived in Jubal Dib. You can see obviously the before and after pictures of the school there. Ain Samia, another school in 2023 that was targeted for demolition. This was a school that served children from the nearby Bedouin villages. This community was actually forced out in May of 2023, and the school demolition followed shortly after. That's one of the other things that we're seeing more recently also in Murajat, is that you'll see schools being targeted by Israeli settlers, and then people having to be forced off of the land because if there's no school, if their children can't go to school safely, if they can't live there safely, people tend to leave those areas. That's kind of one of the components of pressure in these places, what the UN and many other NGOs call a coercive environment that's being created. This here is a picture of the spy school before it was demolished. I want to talk a little bit about solutions before I pass it over to my colleague Fatima. One of the things that Rebuilding Alliance has done, as I mentioned, was briefings with congressional offices. So congressional intervention has been one of the only things that has worked to prevent demolition of schools and homes in Area C of the West Bank. Al-Aqaba village, which is one of the first places that Rebuilding Alliance worked when the organization built a kindergarten. Susia, Khan al-Ahmar, Al-Mala, and many other places have been focal points for congressional intervention and have, up until recently, kept these areas relatively safe. In 2015, after meeting with residents of Khair, Senator Feinstein began a correspondence with then Prime Minister Netanyahu that really served to keep Susia and Khair safe, again, up until recently, as Nasreen mentioned, kind of in the intro to the webinar, some of the things that have been happening in Khair recently. So one of the things that we've been bringing forward in our congressional advocacy is really looking for, who is the next member of Congress that's gonna kind of take up the issue of advocating for Palestinian schools. I think now one of my colleagues will probably put a link in the chat, but one of the things you can do is send a letter to your member of Congress urging them to intervene to keep Palestinian schools in the West Bank safe. And of course, we're going to continue to do our congressional advocacy and outreach to offices pressing for intervention to protect some of these schools. So I'll go ahead and stop now and have my colleague take over from here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Matthew. I put the link to, as did Maria, to the Action Network, and for you to email your members of Congress. Sending these emails to your members of Congress actually does make a huge difference. Even when it feels like it doesn't, we have been told by offices that sending these letters and continuing to speak to your members of Congress is what gets their offices to act, especially if you personalize your letter. So anytime you go in, you can edit the content of this, provide an intro, change some of the language, and it really does make a huge difference in terms of whether your office will act. We also have Fatma Noaja with us. She is the staff social worker at Rebuilding Alliance, and she's been leading some efforts to prevent some of the school demolitions, and has been involved in some summer programs that have been launched for that effort. Fatma?
Yes, hi everyone. As you know, we are a Palestinian, we are under occupation everywhere. Inshallah, the occupation in the world, all the history, through all the history, it's finished. The Israeli occupation not finished. Inshallah, will finish and will be a free and safe and a life in peace with all religion in the world. We love all the religion people in every side, but actually we love to be free and justice like other people. In a school, about the schools and the demolition in area, the occupation not just against us and the demolition everything, just also they are demolition the education system. They didn't like the student Palestinian to get the education like other student in the world. Actually, the educate is the right of any people everywhere. The student, they are feeling very sad when the evacuation coming and giving demolition order, and they are worried to woke up one day to see the schools is demolition, where they are going, how they continue the system of educate. This summer we are did summer camp in Matthew is update a lot and covering almost think about the situation for demolition and the school in Palestine, especially also in Masafer Yatta. But my experience with this school, when they are coming and giving demolition order for the schools, this is a school. This is like a visitor when they are coming visit us when we did summer camp. This school is it's have 130 students from first grade until fourth grade. They are interesting. They are love school. When they are coming and give demolition order, they are sad because that we think why you didn't continue with the activity inside the school to give the students a hope and interesting to stand, inshallah, to stop demolition and still the student the school to stand, not demolition. When we are doing this summer camp, the student was interesting. They was says I hear many voices from them. They are says
Fatma.
yes, I with you, I with you. I had to be silent. The people around me. That's I heard the voices of students. They said we love our school to stand not demolition. When I tell them why you love to be here in the summer camp, they are almost says to enjoy inside the school and to protect our school, not demolition. We will continue to educate. We don't love to stand or educate under the sun. This is some voices from the children. It was interesting summer camp. There was in the program happy some visitor they are coming and say thank you very much for me and my team. They join me to care about children. Minister of Education, they was interesting and very encourage us when we are there this summer camp to give the student hope to be a free and fun. Don't scare. This is, I think, it's not easy. Like any other schools, the student they face and they are feeling same feel when they are coming to demolition. Uh, Really, the situation in Palestine is very bad. The child they are play around the place I sitting outside. Really, the situation is very bad. It's terrible when they are coming any moment to give demolition order. Maybe they will coming demolition school when the student maybe inside. Uh, Almost the families, mother and parents, the student, they was said when they visit, stay some time with us in camp, they said, we scare about our children when they are coming demolition, the school up them or to violence them, in something happen, danger for them. The message from the people and the student in other places, not just in a Palestinian school, stand with us. We need to just and to take our rights like other people everywhere. When we are look to the settler and or the other communities, Israeli, they are free. They are removed everywhere. They have everything. Uh, Actually, they are occupied our land, but we cannot be free and educate or in our life like other communities. Also, the message from them to the people in the world, to the people they are affected in high level, political and diplomatic, stand with us. This is the message from the people when I remove every places in my work. I hear from them to stand with them, to support, to help us to change enough. The people they are feeling very tired. Like yesterday when the settler coming to the Homs Palestinian area and they killing the guys under eyes his children. Really, inshallah, we hope from the people really to stand and to justice us. Thank you. آسف يا نسرين أنا حوالي دوشي يعني بحاول إني أوصل الرسالة بس شوي انعجقت.
It's okay. If anything, it highlights the fact that you are a social worker and you are around children, which is exactly what we aim to support. Oh my gosh. If anyone has questions for any of our panelists, this would be a good time. One question. Let me see. Okay. If we don't have questions, we can go to more final remarks. You can put your questions in the Q&A. So while those are coming in, maybe Matthew, could you say some of our advocacy team actually got on this call. We hopped off of another call with a congressional office specifically advocating for Ishkara School. Maybe Matthew can speak a little bit more on the specifics of that school and of the advocacy efforts that we're doing around that. Matthew?
Yeah, thank you, Nasreen. Yeah, some of those really wonderful pictures that were being shared while Fatima was speaking were of the summer programs in the Ishkara school. So that's a school that's in the West Bank. It's near Susia. That it's not in the firing zone of Masafer Yatta technically, but it has a demolition order. And that's one of the schools that we've really been highlighting in our congressional advocacy. It's a K through 4 that serves around, I believe, around 150 students. It's a school that received a stop work order back in March, even though the school was built in 2020. And then on July 1st, they received what's called a 7-day demolition order. So once we became aware of that 7-day order, we started talking to the legal team that's handling the case, and the legal team was able to submit a request to have an extension for the submission of the building permit for the school. So one of the issues that frequently arises when we talk about schools in Area C of the West Bank is that this is, of course, an area that's under complete Israeli military control, and so that means building and planning has to go through the Israeli authorities. And so I think we often hear of a 98, 99% rejection rate for Palestinians that submit building permits. And so that's one of the hurdles that many of these schools are up against, is they're not receiving, these are schools built in neighborhoods to serve Palestinian children. They're not receiving the proper building permits from the Israeli authorities. And that's one mechanism that aims to deter and displace people from these communities. And I think one of the things to highlight is, you can kind of see it from some of the pictures, especially Khalat Adaba, is that these are very rural, remote areas where that neighborhood school that serves the community is really all there is. It's not as if children can take a bus to the next closest school. It's not that simple. These schools really do have to be not kept standing, but strengthened. And I think one of the things that we've been bringing forward to congressional offices is to even go kind of deeper here and ask the questions about why would schools ever even have demolition orders? These are pillars of the community, and they should be advocated for, kept standing, and really kept in these communities so the children can attend them. No, Nisreen?
Yeah, I just want to highlight and underscore how important it is that you do email your members of Congress. They do actually have the ability to act. And Matthew did touch on this a bit in his presentation, kind of talking about instances in the past where this has been very effective. We know that congressional offices do have that relationship with Israel, and they do have the ability to actually make changes that have an impact on all of these students, on all of these teachers. And so sending those emails and calling your offices, personalizing that relationship with them, it really does go a long way. So please don't miss an opportunity. We've done all the research, we've done all the writing. And so emailing them is extremely important. And then just on the Gaza side of things, a few things that, maybe were not mentioned earlier. There are 660,000 children that are missing out on their schooling right now in Gaza. There are 90,000 university students who would be, taking classes right now. 95% of the buildings are, damaged or destroyed. And many of the formerly UN-run schools are being used as shelters. And I say this all just to underscore the importance of your support at this time. You know, I want to thank all of our remarkable speakers, Maha Ruwaida, who I think, lost connection, but also Matthew, Fatima for sharing, all of these powerful stories and for also their unwavering commitment to education. We opened this webinar by remembering Oda, our friend and our colleague who dedicated his life to teaching and advocating for his community in Masafer Yatta. His life, like the work of every educator we heard from today, is a testament to the belief that education is not only a right, but it's a form of empowerment, of healing, of hope. And despite the destruction, the displacement, the danger, teachers in Gaza and teachers in the West Bank continue to show up for their students. They're creating moments of safety and learning in tents, in the face of violence. And their courage is a call to all of us, not just to listen, but to act. So email your members of Congress. At Rebuilding Alliance, we are committed to standing with these teachers and standing with these students. And with your support, we will continue to advocate for schools to remain standing and for learning to continue, no matter what the obstacles. With that, yes, if you have any questions, please write to us. I'll put that in the chat. And we thank you all for your time.